Hi, welcome back to Zack of All Trades. I'm Zack. Want to go flying? First things first, I'm not a flight instructor. I've never been a flight instructor. I don't even play a flight instructor on TV, or YouTube for that matter. As such, nothing in this video should be taken as instructional. Real quick, I want to answer some of the questions that people will invariably have when you show them an airplane. This airplane is a 1947 Stinson 108-1. It's got a PZL Franklin 220 horsepower engine in it, which means it goes 300 miles an hour. No, it doesn't. It's very slow. In fact, it goes about 110 miles an hour. But because of the big engine, it doesn't need very much distance to take off. The gross weight on this airplane is 2,230 pounds. This particular one weighs in empty at, I believe, 1,450. All that said, I have about a 775 pound useful load on this airplane, so that's got to be split up between fuel and people and whatever. I'm going to bring you along with me. We're going to go through pre-flight, and then we're going to go take this thing flying. Let's go. The first thing I do when I get to the plane, take off the pitot cover. Hang the keys up here on the trim wheel. That way I can see them from anywhere around the airplane. Well, almost. I can't see it from the back. Next I'll set the parking brake, which fortunately I can do by hand. I'm going to extend the flaps. Then I'm going to turn on the master switch. I'm going to do a couple of things when I turn on the master switch. First off, when I turn it on, I'm going to look to see which one of my fuel gauges shows the most full. That's the tank I'm going to use. And I'm also going to turn on my pitot heat and my landing light. My strobe and nav lights stay on all the time. Here we go. Battery's on. Looks like I got more gas on the left-hand side. So I'll make sure that my selector is on left. Pitot heat, landing light. Lights work. Pitot's warm. Now I'll come shut those off. Check the rest of my lights. Red light's red. Strobe strobing. Marker light's marking. And the green light's green. Now I'm going to get in on this side. Shut off the master. I said shut off the master. Since I'm standing right here, I'll go ahead and sample the fuel out of the right side. Make sure there's no water or schmutz in my fuel. Looks good on the right side. And then again, in the realm of since I'm over here, I'm just going to start checking things out. Checking the flap hinge fastener, push rod, fastener, aileron, push rod. Also got to just grab the wingtip and wiggle the airplane. Sometimes crazy things show up crazy ways. Now I'm going to back way up and count my vortex generators. There should be 34 of them. If there are any more than 5 missing, the aircraft is unairworthy. They are all there. Okay? Next I'm going to untie it. I don't remember what this knot's called. It's called a storm knot or a hurricane knot or something to that effect. And they say that it tightens on itself as the airplane rocks and wiggles, as in a windstorm. So that's the one that I use. Why do I use a rope instead of a chain? Well, maybe someday we'll talk about that. I'm going to check my brake, make sure that there's no leakage going on. Everything's good and snug. The bolt that holds on the wheel is there. Perfect. Next move is to climb up on the tire here and check my fuel level. I have this specially calibrated fuel stick. It's like a straw. Just put your finger over the end of the top of it, pull it up, it looks like I'm at 1.5, which I've already checked this out. 1.5 coincides with about 16 gallons on this side. Next, I'm into the cowl. Engine compartment. Several things I'm going to check in here. Let's see. I'm going to check the oil. I am at 6 1/4. I'm going to check to make sure my oil cap is on. That makes a big mess if it's not. And check the alternator belt. Not too tight, but not loose. Check the magneto P leads. Make sure that they're attached, because those are what shut the engine off or prevent it from firing. So when you turn off the key, that's what it's doing. I'm also going to check this heat shield here. This was added somewhat recently. I want to make sure that it's not loosening up any. The oil drain plug. I want to make sure that it's still safety wired, so that it can't vibrate loose and drain all my oil in flight. And I'm also going to look in between the cylinders and just in the general area, make sure that there's no birdie nests, because birdies like to build nests in places like this. Next, I'm going to go look over my prop, which is in pretty sorry shape. It's going real soon up to the prop shop to get refinished and rebalanced. Listen for a ring when you tap it. If there's a crack in the prop, it won't ring like that. Bird's nest. Okay. Get in over here. Checking that same heat shield. Checking the safety wire on my oil filter. Checking my oil cooler door flap thing. Another good look around. It's not quite as much stuff to look at on this side. Now's when my sequence is going to get a little bit funny. For fuel sampling, I was taught that you always want to sample highest to lowest in that order, so that if there's any crud in your fuel system, you'll catch it at the highest possible level. For example, if I went first to the lowest point and was draining fuel there, then whatever crud that I get has got to come through all the rest of the fuel system, and could potentially, if there's more than, say there's 2 pieces of crud, 1 piece of crud could potentially get hung up somewhere in the fuel system. So you want to catch it, so I was instructed, you want to catch it as high as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and check the left side fuel tank, then I'm going to go back to the gascolator. Alright, now out of the gascolator. And so somebody's probably going to ask, why am I not dumping it out after every tank? So the thing about that is if you check the first tank, whatever that is, and there's no crud in there, then you check the second tank, and now in there's crud. Where did it come from? It came from the second tank. Or you go right, left, and then you check the center, you check the gascolator, and there's crud in there at the last time. You can pretty well see where it came from. Now I'll check the level on the left. 2, which coincides with about 17.5 gallons. Oops. Now we'll count 34 vortex generators. Yep. Untie this side. Check all the same stuff. Now when we come back to the tail, I'm going to give it a wiggle, just like I did on the other side. Check these fasteners. I'm going to count 16 vortex generators. Yep. Check fastener there. Check the fastener there. Now I'll get underneath. I'm going to check for a pin in that fastener. Check for a pin in that fastener. While I'm here, I'm going to check that that fastener exists, that fastener, and that fastener. Now I'll go to the other side and check all the same stuff. Now I'm going to give my tail wheel a wobble. Make sure that my spring is still nice and tight. Don't want to have that thing come loose. It's bad news. I'll go ahead and untie it here. Count VGs. And then we'll look at the back of that wing. And now we're complete. Since I've set the parking brake, I can pull the chocks. I have specially calibrated chocks that fit just perfectly. So if one of my tires starts getting low, my chocks get tight in there. Oh, I almost forgot. Got to clean the windshield. What do we use to clean the windshield? Ta-da! Lemon Pledge. Lemon Pledge is the stuff for plexiglass windshields. There's something very important to remember when you're cleaning an airplane windshield, is pretend that you're a molecule of air and only wipe that way. Don't go around in circles. Only wipe that direction. That way, if it starts getting scratched up, it'll be, you can see through it. If you go round and round in circles, then you're going to obscure your view as the window starts deteriorating. Is this thing on? Alright, I'm not entirely sure how well this is going to work out, the audio part of it. I'm going to stick my little lapel mic inside of my headset here once I get the plane going. So hopefully it'll work out well and you guys can hear me. But first things first, I want to get this thing fired up and warming up before I go fooling with anything else, seat belts or anything else. So here's the key. Because it hasn't started for a couple of weeks, I'm going to give it 3 shots of prime. That's in. That's cracked. Brake prop! We got oil pressure. Avionics are on, as evidenced by the fact that you can hear me. 247. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and lean it out a bit, just because that's what this airplane likes. I really hope that this audio is good. It sounds pretty good in my head. Harnesses. I'll lower that idle a little bit. Alright. Yep, you can see out the window. That's pretty cool. So that my shoulder harnesses are tight enough that they'll keep my face out of the panel, yet loose enough that I can reach the flap handle. That's one of those fun things about the old Stinson. Okay, I'm going to let this critter warm up. While I'm at it, I'm going to write down my before takeoff fuel load. Wow. The 5th was the last time that I flew.
Days, 22nd. Alright, everything's untied. The wings are untied. The tail's untied. The brakes are now released. Oh yeah, the brakes feel good. We're just gonna take a nice long taxi. While I'm at it, I'm going to reset my trim, centered out. All my traffic, Stinson across the midfield, drop the north quadrant. Traffic hill, Stinson's clear of the active qualified. Alright, so while I'm taxiing, I'm going to go ahead and check my flight controls. If I turn the yoke to the left aileron should go up. Turn to the right aileron should go up. Pull it back, the elevator goes up, push it forward, the elevator goes down. I can't really see my rudder. So I'm just going to trust that when I push left, it goes left, right, it goes right. That means the flight controls are properly rigged. Nobody has snuck in and re-rigged my flight controls while I wasn't watching. How you guys doing? Can you see? Looks like you can. Hope you're recording. Yeah, you're recording. That's neat. Okay, here we are at the run-up area. So we're going to go with our acronym of STIGAR. Controls are checked. Instruments, both flight instruments and engine instruments, are checked. Gas. I've got 17.5 on the left-hand side. I've got the selector to the left. Attitude. My trim is set. Attitude is good. And run-up is next, so I'm going to go full rich. So you know what, I'm going to pull up a little bit further here. Alright, full rich on the mixture. Bring the yoke back. I'm going to bring it up. Second front. So we're going to climb out at 84. Anything happens before 500 feet. Oh, that's 750. Anything happens before 750. I'm going to go straight ahead. After 750, I will plan to come back. First notch of flaps is ready to go. back down to about 2200. There's about 850 in altitude. A little less. Oh my God, she feels happy today. Man, oh man, does she. Oh my God. Alright, I'm going to beat the numbers. Pull on the flaps. At about my 45. Tire beat. Throttle reduction to about 16, 17. Oh my God. Alright, what's my wind doing? Oh, it's a pretty fair amount. Shooting for 74. Inside the radar, here comes the flaps. Power reduction. At the 45, go heat. Crank. All the flaps. All the big flaps. If our mag switch works. Oh, it seems to. Let me shut you off real quick. Gotta get some gas. Oh.
Clear prop.
Alright, are you back? Gonna let this little 150 get out of the way. All that traffic, yellow Stinson is crossing north ramp and south on Stinson. Alright, so I briefly did it a little bit ago, just before I shut you off. I'm going to do this check real quick to make sure that my magneto off switch works. With the engine running, I'm going to go ahead and just momentarily switch it to off. You should hear a hesitation. There we go. I have confirmed now that it works. There's my parking spot. So you always want to shut off the avionics before you shut off the airplane. So there we go.
And that, my friends, is a nice little Turkey Day stroll. Thanks for coming along.